You good, man? You good?
All good. Welcome, golfers, to the next episode of the Read It, Roll It, Hole It podcast with Johnny Morgan today. Welcome, Johnny.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Ollie. Thanks for having me, my friend. And it's nice to be here, mate. Thank you very much.
Great to have you on, John. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and we've sort of become good friends and good. Always great fun to talk to. So really looking forward to picking your brains today and hearing some of those funny stories.
Yeah, sweet, mate. Well, yeah, we're gonna have a good crack. I can tell you that. It's been great knowing you, mate. And it's like Tickenham's now your hunting ground, mate. Your putting lab up there, been there, helped you a few times. Well, no, you've helped me a few times, I should say. Figuring myself out. So yeah, I'm good. Down and get ready. Come on, man. Let's have it.
Let's be having it. That's cool. So, John, I want to start 2004 John Deere Classic. You were, to set the scene for those of you who probably maybe some of you don't know the John story. Tour player, got your tour cards, Challenge Tour. You got your European Tour and PGA Tour card in the same year. Was that the year before, 2003?
It was the end of 02, so it was for the 03 season. Yeah. So it was manic, mate. Absolutely manic. Whirlwind. Yeah, you could say.
I've been watching the video this morning again of you in the John Deere Classic 2004. The last three holes of the real-time tournament, you hold some absolute bombs. My first question.
One was on this hole. That's right behind me.
Oh yeah, that's on the par 3.
Yeah, we got it.
What I want to know is, do you remember the emotions and how you were feeling over that putt on the 18th hole? It's about a 20-foot putt to get into a playoff. Do you remember how you felt?
Yeah, I do. It's amazing, right? That feeling comes along. It's not something you can actually bottle up and always have. You wish you could. I think it comes to certain times, maybe if I put myself in that position a lot more, like, down the stretch and needing a whole summit right to death, and make it all happen, maybe it would have happened a few more times, but it was very few and far between for me. But when it came along, it was very, very simple. Everything became very clear. In the sense of the intensity was there, the emotions were there, pressure was there, obviously heartbeat was going through the roof, but my brain was like, I gotta love it. And it wasn't for me. It was for people at home, people around the green watching. I wanted to do it for them, not really for me. I just wanted to lose myself with them. So my mentality all of a sudden became that I'm just going to hold it for them, which then I suppose took the pressure. I reversed the pressure in a way, you could say, but then also the simplicity of my line, and what I seen, I just said, I'm going to hold it. And, at the end of the day, my eyes got so focused that I had my line straight away. As soon as I looked down, I could see it was a little hint off the right, up a little very minor tier, which you probably can't really see. It was a very, very shallow little tier that you got to come over. And I knew it was going to be breaking towards the water, obviously. But so you just know it was outside right. It was all day long, and it was just about the pace, really. And that was it, and that comes down to having a lesson earlier on in the year off of Tiger Woods. I had a putting lesson off him, and actually, funny enough, he said it's all about the pace, no trouble. And it was, he just said to me, he said, if it's right to left, left to right, downhill, uphill, John. He said, if the pace ain't right, you ain't gonna hold it. At the end of the day, he said it's got to be bob on. And really and honestly, I got over that putt, and a bit like Bag of Ants in a way, everything went dark and there was a little white line all the way to the hole, and it was very clear. And I just knew I just needed to just tap it on it, and it was always going to go in. It's mad, isn't it? Mad.
Absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I think, it's so interesting how, quite often when golfers are put under pressure, we can be like rabbit in headlights, and everything doesn't become clear. Everything is cloudy, and we're sort of looking at everything and focusing on nothing. So to have the ability to reverse that skill you have, or you had to do, have had to do that, it's quite incredible.
But the thing is, Ollie, right? It's just that sometimes I've caught myself where I put all the pressure on myself, and then you buckle. You know, you hit a terrible putt. You come out of it. You look up a little bit too quick. You're a little bit, tentative. Whatever, everything that comes with putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and then, the moment I was able to put it somewhere else, and turn it into a positive, like, this is my moment, or, this is for everyone else, not me. That was it. The switch went off, and it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you catch yourself and you can't knock yourself out of it. It's hard. But you get these feelings come across you, and they probably happened probably a good couple of dozen times in my life where I've had to really hold one, and the clarity's come out, and I know I'm going to do it, like getting my card and a couple of putts, playing golf round, and when I qualified, and different other things, winning Challenge Tour events, there's been some big putts I've hold, and you start seeing the lines, and you really do it for the people around you. And I was always a bit of a crowd pleaser as well, so I was never really someone that played for myself. That's why I think I would have been a good Ryder Cupper. If I had the chance to play a Ryder Cup, I'd have played for a team instead of myself, without question. I think that's a European mentality anyway, isn't it?
The passion you show, certainly looks like a Ryder Cup moment, watching that video with the fist pumper and the crowd going wild. It's amazing how the American crowd obviously were really behind you there. You were the young sort of British guy and the underdog, I think, and everyone loves an underdog. And it was, the sound, was it as loud as it, was it, what was the sound like?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, literally, I think, Zach Johnson had just missed getting in the playoff with Vijay Singh. And I think obviously if Zach Johnson had got in that playoff, all the cheering would have been towards him because he's a local boy. But it was me and an Australian, Mark Ensby. And I got to say, I loved it. I think they helped me massively, because, who doesn't like being cheered on? It's, if anyone says I use it to my advantage, if they don't cheer me on, it's a load of tosh. Really is. You got to feel the fan base. You got to feel the love and the admiration from the crowd, towards you, and then give it back. It raises your game. It does. It doesn't matter what anyone says. You're better for them cheering you on than they are against you, without question. That's why, like what we just seen at the Ryder Cup, there's hardly anyone in the crowd. Europe is cheering for themselves within the teammates, just a couple of people in the crowd, compared to America, which has, the whole bloody country on the golf course at Whistling Straits cheering for them, and yeah, it's different gravy. But I got to say, I've always done better when I'm around people I know, or people that appreciate or enjoying what I'm doing. I'm feeling the love, as you might say. Feeling the love, mate. Feeling the love.
Feeling the love. Great stuff. John, just take you back to obviously you mentioned the great man himself. As you know, he's my idol, and he's up on the wall.
Yeah.
Quite a big image of him up there. And what was his advice? You touched on it there, but what you had a putting lesson. Talk us through, John, when you first met him. What happened?
Well, yeah, first night I met, I must be pretty ballsy. I was probably like we were chatting earlier, feeling a bit nervous in certain places. I seen him come in, but then the kind of like nerves with meeting your idol, all of a sudden playing the same event, rubbing shoulders, and he's on a table, I'm on a table on my own, and I just thought, look at this, I'm gonna go over and say hello and introduce myself. And I said, anyone sat here, mate? And he goes, what's your name? I said, I'm John Morgan. And I said, what's your name? He said, Tiger Woods. I said, yeah, I know. And just to rub it in, okay. And then sat down, we had a little quick natter. Can't remember much. I remember Steve Flesh coming over, sitting down with us, and he was having a good old natter with Tiger as well. And obviously we're nowhere near the same loop of schedule, so it was very rare I got to see him. Probably seen him about 3, 4, 5 times that year, which is quite a lot if you think of it, I suppose. But we would rub shoulders, and so that was at Torrey Pines, actually, which he went on and won, which is his famous hunting ground, which he ended up winning by about 5 shots that week as well. But I was beating him after the first round. So, I shot, but then I did play the easier course at the 2. I shot 67 or 66 round the other course. And then, Tiger was on the harder course and shot like 200-300 under or something. So I was beating him for a minute, and then I missed the cut and he went on and won it by 5 shots. Which is really bizarre, but there you go. That's Tiger Woods for you. But mate, we kind of it was amazing. My mum and dad came over for the another event, and it happened in 2004, and it was I think it's in Munich. No, not Munich, Michigan. Sorry, and it was the Beast. It was the Buick Classic, and I remember getting our car, and we're at the lights, and about a mile from the hotel, from the golf course, and I just looked left and just dual carriageway at the lights, and looked to my left and see Steve Williams, because obviously it's a left-hand car drive, so he's in the right-hand side and he's right close to me, and then I can see Tiger's just poked his head the other side of the, Stephen looked at me and gone, like, I'm having it, we're going for it at the lights. I was like, oh my God, here we go. Right. So, I'm not able to take on Tiger Woods one-on-one yet, but I thought, this is my moment. I can take him out right here. I could be one up straight away. I'm having it. But we had different cars, right? I'm not making any excuse, but his was definitely more powerful than mine. But I was trying to cut him up. I was trying to be a right sneaky bugger. But I had my mum and dad in the car, so they were absolutely bricking it, with me going at it, and I had to slow down and give him the win. Apart from that, when we parked up in the car park at the golf course, he's giving it the old fist pump, loving life, celebrating that he's beating me in a road race. And then we were up in the clubhouse, and then we head out on the golf course. Like, I seen him, it was the Pro-Am day, and that was when I had my putting lesson off him, really. And then we had ended up having a food fight that week as well, which was bloody brilliant. I'll get back to that in a bit, but the lesson was magnificent, Ollie. It really was. And it's very simple. It's exactly what I thought it would be. I thought, everything's got to be simple at the end of the day, as you well know. He practices on pace, and that's what he said. 9 times out of 10, he practices on pace. You'll fiddle about a little bit, not very much. But he just, like he said to me, he said, if it's uphill, downhill, left to right, right to left. He said, if the pace is wrong, John, you're not going to hold anything. And I was really aggressive, and I'd taken VJ's advice, who was playing great golf that particular year. He was, I think he won 10 times that season. He had the belly putter, so I thought I'd give it a go just to see if it helped me with the 10 footers, and in being more consistent, which it did. It definitely did. Because obviously it's a lot of anchoring going on. It's not the best method, but at the end of the day, it helped me. It was a quick fix, and helped me not keep my car, but helped me get to a certain stage where I was able to have playing rights from the next year anyway, because I was struggling. I found the nerves as well. The nerves really did kick in, and it was all pressure on me. I wasn't feeling pressure from anyone else. I was feeling a little bit embarrassed, because all of a sudden you'd hit wonder shot after wonder shot and miss a tiddler, and that's always a horrible thing to do. But end of the day, me and Tiger going back to that, it was unbelievable. The food fight escalated from a big bowl of grapes. It all happened. A big bloody rain delay, thunderstorm outside, and remember Ben Curtis and Furyk winning majors that year, the Open and the US Open. And what was it? I remember I was up the bar with Scott Verplank. He hadn't long just played the Ryder Cup, actually, the year before. Was it? Yeah, the year before. And we're just at the bar having a chat, and Tiger comes up behind me. Here, guys, here's some grapes. Let's peel them. And what they're about to do, because of the rain delay, they're setting up camp for a big old live interview. And was it? with Curtis and Furyk, and Tiger comes up behind me with the grapes. Start peeling. I went, great idea. So we start peeling these grapes, and they're all gooey, ready to go. We got like 30 of them. I found a plum. We got crisp. We got nuts. You name it. Anyway, we're about to go live, and all the players are in there, and we just piled all these up, and it's, you know, and as soon as they go on live, we just start throwing at them. And we pebble dashed Furyk, we pebble dashed Ben Curtis, you know, and you know, the wall behind him, if we missed, was just getting splattered. The cameraman was getting it, the interviewer was getting it, everyone was getting it. And then the camera decides to fling round and see who the culprits are, which is me and Scott Verplank and Tiger, who's instigated it, by the way. And yeah, he's just got down on his knees, got out the way of camera shot, and there's just me and Scott, you know, caught red-handed. But I got to be honest with you, I was very over the moon. I missed with my plum because it had taken someone's eye out, and it hit the wall with massive thud. I think it missed Furyk's head by like an inch, and all the players went ooh. And yeah, it was. I got lucky, man. It was a big red splatter on the wall behind him. Poor painter and decorators. I do feel sorry for him.
That's a funny story. I've never heard that one from you. But I'm glad your plums missed people. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a cracker. After that, it was good though. And unfortunately, I think our paths never really crossed after that, which is a shame. Yeah, it was a shame. Our paths never crossed. I went to Doral way after my playing career ended, and went round just to watch it because I went back to see some friends over in Miami where I lived, and went to Doral and walked round and got to see him. Never introduced myself, stayed the other side of the ropes, met out with you know, Butch Harmon and a couple of the others who I knew, you know, so that was quite nice. But yeah, it was, yeah, unfortunately, our paths never crossed again. But yeah, I definitely watched on in amazement when he went on and won the Masters, and you know, not long ago, a couple of years back now. It doesn't seem like, it only seems like yesterday, but it's amazing story.
Certainly was. Yeah, a great event. The question I wanted to sort of ask you, John, is what happened after that? Obviously changed your life. Obviously you had a few accidents, and I heard on one of your podcasts talking about like you got really hurt on a plane, didn't you, or had like an epileptic fit? So talk us through that sort of stage, John, going from playing water fights, chucking your plums at people, to all of a sudden, well, you know, passing out on a plane.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, really. I don't know. I didn't know much of what actually went on. I kind of hear different stories from different people, but you know, like I said, I had Adam Hayes on, you know, John Rahm's caddy, on my podcast with Kit, and you know, he was actually 4 rows in front of me when it actually kicked off. Small world, isn't it? He was caddying for Vaughan Taylor, I think, at the time. We were on our way to Reno, and for the Lake Tahoe Open, which was an amazing event, beautiful place. I definitely recommend going. But obviously, I got there a day late for reasons being, you know, when I got on the plane, it's like Adam was saying. He said, you know, we were down the. He said, you know, the pedal was to the metal, and we were going down the runway at, you know, a serious rate of knots, just about to put the nose up and go. And he said, all of a sudden, Tannoy comes over, lady, you know, massive panic, hits the button, you know, big brakes go on, veer off, go into the gate, where then they got to try and get me out of my seat, you know, which was not easy for them to do, because what I'd done was where I'd gone into my seizure, I went on for a long time by all accounts. I was still going by the time they got back to the gate. That's how crazy it was. So it was like 10 minutes or something like that, which is pretty dangerous, I think. But I kind of slid down, kind of snapped off the belt. This is how strong I must have been, or you become when you have a seizure. I'd gone down into like the splits. Obviously, I can get nowhere near the splits. Can't even touch my toes, for crying out loud. So, you know, it's you know, by all accounts, I was in the split, so I pulled both my groin muscles with that, and because of a lot of violent shaking and stuff like that, and you know, cracked a couple of ribs, a couple of disc heads at the top of my back, you know, and bit my tongue off. And as they said, I rotated the sternum bone, or maneuvered the sternum bone certain kind of direction. So then I woke up in the hospital thinking, crikey, did the plane crash? Because all I can remember is setting off on the plane, foot's down, and I'm thinking, crikey, so I'm expecting there's been a crash on the plane, and I can't remember it, but I feel like I've survived it. Anyway, I looked to my left, and a caddy called Rick Goyette, who ended up becoming my caddy, got off the plane. Adam nearly got off the plane, but one of the other caddies did, and just made sure I was all right. And I got to the golf course. Day later, my mum and dad were already there, and I was high on drugs like morphine, I think they give me, and stuff like that. And I got there, and Health South, which is a big part of the PGA Tour, they were unbelievable. Tried to put me back together, try to make me feel better, and line me right, but jam the disc heads in the top of my back up into it again, and tried to help maneuver the sternum bone and help me with my groin muscles and stuff that I tore, and all that thing. I mean, I couldn't hardly speak. I was drinking through a straw with because now I had a massive ulcer because the tongue was, hanging off. But it's the quickest thing to heal. But yeah, it was one of those things. It was weird, and it was the game changer. It was the end of the road, because I felt vulnerable, to be honest, for the first time in my life. First time I ever felt vulnerable. And I felt invincible up till then. It was a reality check, and yeah, just all of a sudden the game has its moments, but something definitely went off in the brain that said, I'm vulnerable now, and I didn't feel as invincible, and I felt, it's just one of those things, and the body never felt the same. It still doesn't, but it's, it feels that little bit tighter. Yeah, okay, people might say when they play with me, John, you still got to game, but there was more to it than that. There was a lot more in my game, to up to that point. And yeah, I never had the shots quite like I did, which was a shame. The knees were never the same either, which is a big part. Bit like 2 knee operations, bit like Tiger. He's had 3 or 4, I know, but one big one recently. But yeah, I think never helped, mate. But it's good, here I am, I'm talking to you. I'm better off alive than I am dead. So I'm happy, mate, really and honestly. Found a new beginning, and yeah, I'm happy as Larry. I do miss it. I do get out there, I do see it, I do think I got that shot sometimes. They don't come as freely now and again. There's a little bit more luck than judgment nowadays when it comes to playing, but still, everything happens for a reason. I think that what happened on the plane is just one of those things. It's when you got brain damage like I got, and it just came alive now and again. What can you do? I take good drugs, take them every day, twice a day. So yeah, they do the trick, and yeah, I'm still here, mate. Still here.
Thank you for your sort of honesty there, John, with talking openly about that. It must have been a difficult time for you, sort of mentally. How did you fare up, with your sort of mental health, and how did you perhaps deal with it?
Well, I didn't deal with it very good, to be honest. I tried to push. I was trying to really power through it. Like whatever pain I could feel, it was like, no, it will go. Like I'll probably tear away the pain. I was trying to tear away the pain of playing. So, I remember going big event. It was quite a few weeks after it, and it was the next time I seen Tiger, actually, but only in passing. And I remember giving Donald Trump a chipping lesson. How funny is that? But I remember getting Tiger's driver, and a Sasquatch, it was Nike one, and it was the only one with enough loft on it to keep it below the trees. And I remember it was way too stiff and heavy for me, but I wanted Tiger's driver. And but I couldn't hit it because my body was battered. I really couldn't hit it, and this thing just went 15 foot high and dippy and ran miles. And I was playing with Davis Love III and Zach Johnson, and in the first 2 rounds. And yeah, the thing was, I just to keep powering myself through it. And I think, I did myself more damage that way a lot more damage, because all of a sudden you put a lot more of the problems in a different location then, you know what I mean? Because you're compensating for your swing and stuff. So yeah, the knee really give way after that. It was like a no-go zone, the knee, left knee. A couple of other little bits and bobs would just turn up, you know, where the scar tissue from, you know, month or two ahead were bad. I mean, the biggest regret I do have is definitely not taking a medical. Yeah, I was managed by Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Sport, who manages Anthony Joshua and Usyk and all these, you know, top boxers now. And yeah, it was kind of a conversation we had after the seizure, and it was like, I'd done so well at the John Deere that, you know, I had only needed a certain amount of money, and like tried to push to try and get it. And Eddie was like, John, all you need is that. And he was right. All I needed was a little bit, and I could take the whole rest of the year off. And then, you know, I could come back a whole new, fresh, work on my body, you know, probably get in the gym like a boxer does, ready to fight, and come back out feeling $1 million. And it was the wrong decision at the end of the day, trying to press for it. And that's mentally where I really came undone then. It was too soon. You know, I needed to take a medical, come back and do it, which I'd have easily got one. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. But, you know, it's, I knew what he was talking about, and I felt the same because I was still passionate and wanted to push through it. You know, I was still playing good. So, you know, I still had that vibe from the John Deere so vivid in my head, you know, that I thought I was going to win any minute, even though my body was going, you've got to be bloody joking me. You know, you'll be a bloody miracle if you do. So yeah, it it'll show you how stupid I was. So I got to Lake Tahoe on the I think it was on the Tuesday evening, and went straight to Health South. Tuesday afternoon, went straight to Health South, and they were working on me. Anyway, I'm still entered into the event. Now, someone, I don't know if it was Snedeker or it might have been Vaughan Taylor, or I forget who it was. Forget who the actual player was, but there was a first reserve, first alternate. And obviously they hear I've had a seizure and John might be pulling out. So they're by there for the first tee, and I still haven't pulled out. How crazy is this? And still high on morphine though, so I'm not feeling any pain, but my body can't work. So I stand on the first, I walk to the first tee on the Thursday, and I just remember hitting a shot, and I hit it out the middle, and it just reached the fairway. And then I hit forward, hit it out the middle, and I'm about 5 foot off the green. No, where have I gone? No, I'm about 100 yards, and then I hit a wedge and I come up short, about 5 foot off the green. So I got this 40 footer for par and I hole it for a par, right? And on the first hole, and I thought, I'm back. But then if you've seen it, I hit my drive 200 yards max. I hit my forward 180 max, and hit this wedge like half the distance as I normally would. So the body was saying, look, I ain't got it. But I still tried to play through it. And that was my mentality, really. I was such a fighter. But it was when you going back to your question, where, you know, mentality and how it affected me, this is where it hit me, because all of a sudden it was like, you know, I can't do what my brain is telling me. I was trying to overpower it. And yeah, the body won, you know, you can't get away from what your body's telling you, unfortunately. And that was the first time in my life I had to suck it up and realize that. And I hated it, absolutely hated it. So, yeah, it affected me.
What happened then, John?
Well, just went into a bit of a cocoon, really. Didn't do a lot. Probably went out and partied a bit too much. Did a bit of a Tyson Fury, bit of depression. Never was a drinker. Had a few drinks. Yeah, just really and honestly went to try and find something that would put a smile on my face instead of feeling down all the time. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things that you just, you know, you got to battle on through. Yeah, it was one of those, you know, and living on my own in Miami or Florida in general, you know, probably is an easy place to go out and party and enjoy yourself. You know, the viewing factor was amazing. I wasn't a shy guy, so I was out there and enjoying myself. But it's yeah. At the end of the day, it's just it was just the wrong path, and I did it just to hide my emotions, really, and show everyone I was all right, saying I'm having a good time. Don't worry about it. But in actual fact, it was, ate me up. But it is what it is, and took a while though. Took a while to really turn the corner. They would say it lasted quite a few years. Actually, it didn't last just a couple of months. It lasted a few years. Even with having a baby and everything like that, and getting back on the road, just the frustration of not finding your game like you used to have, and having such massive highs and then constantly having lows. Yeah, it's just one of those things, mate. But it's there's many people out there that have got a story to tell. I'm just one of many, which I think that's where I always go back to. I'm not the only person who's got to deal with this stuff. There's loads of other people. Everyone's got a story. Mine's just one of many. So I just sucked it up and thought, and it came down to good friends, and that's coming back home, hanging around with good friends and mum and dad, feeling a lot of love, a lot of people wanted to help. And then you find yourself coming out of it. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Surround yourself with love and friendship, and happy days, mate. Happy days.
No, that's good. No, thank you. Is it still something you that sort of affects you these days, John? Still
Well,
something
epilepsy? Yeah, epilepsy will always affect me. Brain damage
Sorry,
is
no,
always...
not epilepsy, but the
Sorry.
mental health side of like just struggling, with the fact you can't do what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, cool. Don't get me wrong. I watch my mates out there playing, but I'm not jealous. I'm envious. You know what I mean? I think that's the difference. I'm not a jealousy type of person. I don't wish some of that someone else has got. I admire what they do. I know what hard work they've had to do to get it. Like, one of my biggest moments for me personally was watching, the miracle at Medina and seeing the boys do well, but also seeing a friend of mine, Nicholas Colsarts, be in that team and be a part of it, and also get a massive point with Lee Westwood against Tiger and Stricker, single-handedly pretty much taking down, two of the most solid characters you could possibly think of. But stuff like that, I was watching now, and then going out on tour now, seeing them, envious of them, and sometimes on the range, I wander by and say, oh, nice club, pick it up, give it a whack. And, they like to see me hit one now and again. They want to see if I still got it. But I hit all my shots pretty stiff, in the sense of no warming up. But I seem to do all right. You know what I mean? I got a little John Ram swing, in the sense of little half a swing, and I power it out there and it does the job. And, I'm happy with that, and yeah, still got some shots, and try not put too much pressure on myself. Play better when I just don't care, go out there and don't try and play it for a score. I seem to do okay when I do that. But really honestly, now I feel okay now, mate. I've turned that corner. I love what I do. I love having a mic in my hand. I love talking about the game I love. I'm very lucky with regarding Sky Sports and ETP and Matchroom Sport with regarding the Europro, giving me job, to be able to voice my enthusiasm about golf and my love for it. And I get to hang out and stroll the fairways with, my old friends, Sergio. Seen Luke Donald the other day up at Wentworth. That was nice to catch him out, because me, Sergio and Luke Donald, like they're in Vegas right now. Me and we went out in Vegas. I got a picture in my mum and dad's house. Should have brought it actually, but it's me, Sergio and Luke, and they went on to really big things, Luke becoming the world number one, and Sergio, well, just unbelievable, Sergio. And myself, I just feel like the odd one out in that three now, even though I was there. But it was a lovely little picture on the lovely picture, and a note on the back from Luke Donald saying, for great times to come, here's to many more. And unfortunately for me, it never came. He got loads and stuff, but also, things happen for a reason. I get to talk about him now, and talk about loads of great shots and his history and stuff, a bit like yourself, what you're asking me, Ollie. But it's it's been good, mate. I have no regrets.
Awesome, that's cool. With your current your work, what you're doing now, so you're doing working for Sky, you do the Euro Pro,
Mm,
and the podcast with Kit, the Filthy Lip Out, which I
yeah.
absolutely love, by the way. It's a really really good podcast. What do you love about those sort of three jobs, and maybe you've got more jobs, those three roles, jobs, whatever you want to call them?
Yeah. What I love about it, I love about the, first of all, I'll start with the Europro where it all began really, for in the sense of when I turned pro, being managed by them and then not playing and then working into TV, Dan Godin who runs it, the Hearns obviously, but Dan Godin who runs the tour at the moment, give me a shot at it. And great producers and great cameramen, made me feel right at home. Love seeing the youth come through. You see them so raw. You see them making so many mistakes, but you also see how good they actually are. And it's so easy to spot the mistakes as well because they wear their hearts on their sleeve. They're raw. There ain't many caddies out there. They're doing their thing. You're left to their own devices, and you see them chuck their toys out of the pram so often. But then you see the people that can let it go, people that are really calm, like seeing Aaron Rai for the first time out there, with his dad. He's lovely, and his work ethic, his calmness. Jordan Smith, another one out there, Marcus Armitage, Jonathan Colwell, Daniel Gavins, all guys that have won recently as well. All on the Europro, and they've been there over the last 5-6 years. It's been outstanding, really and honestly, and it's just brilliant to see them at grassroots level. Well, it feels like grassroots level, the beginning of the pro ranks. It's brilliant. And then obviously going up through the levels to the main tour, where the pressure and live TV really comes to the forefront, and that's intense. Some amazing moments, spectacular moments. Literally, stuff that you just think, really, did that just happen? I mean, just some of the finishes I've got to be able to see, and you just go, really, you just did do that, did you? But you can put yourself in their position and see what their feelings are like. You have a good chat to them afterwards, and maybe in the winner's interview and stuff, and the emotions are so high, you get to feed off it, and their emotions, which is, I think that's where a little bit lucky that I've been able to handle that, have those emotions as well and be able to put myself in their shoes. I think that's the trick. I've been able to be in their shoes, and I have been in their shoes. So I think that makes it a little bit easier for me to be able to do that and understand if they break down or they need that type of stuff, or, the way they're going out, if they're having a rant, if it hasn't gone their way, or, certain, ebbs and flows of a game of golf that you get. I think, it just happens. So, I'm just really lucky in the podcast. Kit is a good fella. We started working together at the same time with the Euro Pro, and he worked for Golf World, and he's Golf Monthly now, and he's doing the Rose Ladies. He does his the Zoom calling as well for the European Tour. He works with Sophie Walker with the Fantasy Picks as well. They do their thing. I think, us doing the podcast, we don't get anything for it. We do it because we love it. One day we'd like to be paid for it, don't get me wrong, but it ain't that easy, obviously, but we love doing it. We've had some great people on. We're very, very lucky, but we're just using all our contacts. Like your phone, mate. You scroll down your phone, you'll find a few names you can pluck out. But yeah, we've just been doing exactly the same. And lucky for us, they wanted to come on. Like Tony Jacklin this week was, he was the star for 4 Ryder Cups. You know what I mean? And all a part of the concession with Jack Nicklaus. So he was picking his brain on how he picked a team and how he reversed it. And normally he'd put the best at the back, instead he put the best up top, and turned it on its head. And stuff like that. I just love it, mate. We're just so lucky. And I mean, if you'd have told me when I was 10 years old, sat in front of the TV watching the Ryder Cup, the 87 Ryder Cup, and that was the first tournament I watched. And I think it was 88 was my first Masters I watched, watching Sandy Lyle win it. I got the bug from there. Would I be potentially able to play alongside them all, which I played with Sandy Lyle my first year at Pebble Beach at the AT&T, and that was to watch my first ever Masters and getting to play with him my first year out was just, I'm like looking at it going, Jesus, all my Christmases have come at once. This is brilliant. Just stuff like that. You just pinch yourself sometimes. Just a very lucky boy. And that's how I flipped the switch on it all as well, mate. Mentally, just feel a lucky boy.
Brilliant. I love it. We're talking the Masters, John, and it's a joke we always have. Cheers. I don't know if you can see that. I've got my Masters mug there, but we've been talking that you've never been to the Masters. Oh, he's got a Masters mug left.
Yeah, but mate, this is down to a few friends bringing it back for me, mate. I think it was James Haddock. I think it is the Sky Sports presenter, and I actually got a yardage book. Beamer got me a yardage book, but it's in meters, and that's pretty good actually. I'll find it in a bit, but yeah.
Well, anyway, we're talking that in April 23, we're going to take a group out. So, anyone listening who fancies a bit of that, bit of golf with John and myself at Augusta.
Well, Ollie, I think what we got to do is, I think for the people listening, if you are listening to this, you want to get involved. Yeah, okay, it ain't going to be cheap. We are going to the Masters, for crying out loud. But what do you get with it? You get me and you coaching them. You boys and girls out there that want to go, we'll play some golf courses. I'll be like a kiddie in a candy store because I can't wait to get to the Masters. So you're going to get the best of me. I'll be honestly like a dog on eat. I really will be. And hopefully we get to bump into, say, someone like John Daly who gets his van down the local Hooters down there and sells his merchandise. We can rub shoulders with him because I know John. Fingers crossed that comes off, and we get to go around all these golf courses, play some nice golf courses. You get coached by me and Ollie. I'll tell you a few tricks of my trade. I'm sure Ollie will tell you all the tricks of his trade, and then we get to go and live our dream and walk the fairways, and the Masters, and have some of those lovely sandwiches that Dustin Johnson keeps talking about, and maybe probably spend too much in the the merchandise memorabilia tent, which I wouldn't bother me, but mate, there'll be a lot of good giggles and fun, I'm sure. So hopefully anyone listening to this, Ollie, fancies it. How many people are you looking for? How many is it? Makes it comfortable?
I think 12 to 14 is a nice group for us to manage.
Well, it'd be nice if we could have a ballot, wouldn't it? So if there's more like 20 people want to have a go, maybe we can save them for the next year and stuff like that, and we'll have a lucky dip draw on your podcast who gets to go, and then we'll have we could do that.
But good ideas you are.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, we could, if anyone wants to get involved, that would be brilliant. We're not earning a lot out of it, me and you, that's for sure. We're doing it because we love it and we want to get to the Masters. So, the saving grace is that we're able to do what we love in the meantime, which is coach and play, as well as watching and walking around one of the best golf courses you'll ever get to experience.
I'm excited already.
Have it, man. Have it, Ollie.
Let's be having it. John, I've thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. I knew it would be entertaining. I do appreciate your honesty today. I think you've dug deep there and sort of been very honest with how sort of that's your career has planned out the way it has. But it's great to hear you happy on the telly. I love watching you. It's always entertaining, especially when you jump in ponds and things like that. But yeah, no, really appreciate your time, John.
That's all right. Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for having me, mate.
Appreciate it.